The engine of Keanu's motorcycle hummed quietly as he rode through the dark Nevada desert. The Boulder highway stretched ahead of him like a black ribbon under the starlight. It was past midnight, and the road was empty, except for his bike cutting. Through the cool night air, he had just finished another long day of filming in Las Vegas. The movie set had been busy and loud, full of people rushing around with cameras and lights. Now he enjoyed the peace of the desert. Blah! The silence felt good. After all that noise, Keanu loved these late-night rides. They helped him think and relax. The desert was so different from the busy city. Out here, he could see millions of stars above him. The air smelled clean and fresh. He was thinking about tomorrow's scenes when he saw something strange ahead. At first, it looked like a small animal on the side of the road. But as he got closer, he realized it was too big to be a desert animal. It was moving in a weird way too, walking upright like a person. Keanu slowed down his bike. His headlight lit up the figure better now. His heart jumped when he saw what it really was. A small child was walking alone on the shoulder of the highway. The little boy looked maybe 3 years old, far too young to be out here by himself. "What the hell?" Keanu said to himself. He pulled over quickly and turned off his engine. The child kept walking as if he didn't notice the motorcycle or its bright light. Keanu took off his helmet and jogged over to the boy. As he got closer, he noticed something odd about the child's clothes. They seemed to shimmer and reflect light in a strange way, almost like they were made of some kind of metal. Fabric. "Hey there, little guy," Keanu said softly, trying not to scare the child. "What are you doing out here?" The boy stopped walking and turned to look at him. Keanu was surprised by the child's face. The boy had bright blue eyes that seemed much older than they should be. There was something in those eyes that made Keanu feel uncomfortable, like the child was looking right through him. "Hello, Keanu," the boy said clearly. Keanu felt a chill run down his back. How did this child know his name? And why did he speak so clearly for someone so young? Most 3-year-olds couldn't form sentences like that. "How do you know my name?" Keanu asked, kneeling down to be at the boy's eye level. "I know many things," the child said simply. "My name is Danny." "Danny, where are your parents?" "How did you get out here?" Danny pointed up at the dark sky full of stars. "They went home without me." Keanu looked up at the sky, then back at Danny. "Your parents live around here? In the desert?" "No," Danny said, shaking his head. "They went home, up there." He pointed at the stars again. A strange feeling grew in Keanu's stomach. The way this child talked was not normal. Something was very wrong here, but he couldn't figure out what it was. "Are you hurt?" Keanu asked. "Are you hungry? Or thirsty?" "I'm fine," Danny said, "but I need help. I wasn't supposed to be here yet." "What do you mean?" Danny looked frustrated, like he was trying to explain something very difficult. "I came too early. The others left before the right time. Now I'm stuck." Keanu didn't understand what Danny meant, but he knew one thing for sure. A 3-year-old child could not survive alone in the desert. He had to get Danny somewhere safe. "Come on, Danny, let's get you out of here. We'll find your family." Keanu stood up and held out his hand. Danny looked at it for a moment, then reached out and took it. The moment their skin touched, something incredible happened. Images flashed through Keanu's mind like lightning. He saw huge ships floating in space, bigger than cities. He saw beings that looked almost human, but with eyes like Danny's. He saw Earth from far away, blue and beautiful, but somehow different than it should be. The images lasted only a second, but they felt completely real. Keanu pulled his hand back quickly, breathing hard. "What was that?" he asked. Danny looked. "Sad you weren't ready to see. I'm sorry." Keanu stared at the child. Those images had felt like memories, but they weren't his memories. They were someone else's memories of things that seemed impossible. "Danny, what are you?" I'm human, Danny said simply, "just like you. But I'm from a different time." The words sent another chill through Keanu. This couldn't be real. Children didn't talk like this. They didn't know things they shouldn't know. And they definitely didn't put strange images in people's heads just by touching them. But everything felt completely real. Danny was standing right there in front of him, small and alone on a dark desert highway. Whatever was happening, Keanu knew he couldn't just leave the child here. "Okay, Danny, I don't understand what's going on, but I'm going to help you. Can you ride on my motorcycle? Danny nodded. Yes, I've seen you ride before. When have you seen me ride? We just met. I've watched you many times. You don't know about the Watchers yet. Keanu felt confused and worried. None of this made sense, but he had to focus on getting Danny to safety first. He could figure out the rest later. He picked up Danny and was surprised by how light the child felt. Danny's strange clothes felt smooth and warm, not like any fabric Keanu had ever touched. He put Danny on the motorcycle seat in front of him and started the engine. Where should we go? Keanu asked. How do you know I'm staying at a hotel? Danny turned to look at him with those strange old eyes. I know many things about you, Keanu Reeves. More than you know about yourself. Who was this child really? How did he know so much? And what did he mean about Watchers and coming from a different time? The city lights grew brighter ahead of them, but Keanu felt like he was riding into something much darker than the desert. Night. Whatever Danny was, whatever was happening, Keanu knew his life had just changed forever. Behind them, the empty highway stretched back into the darkness, keeping its secrets. But in the sky above, if someone had been watching carefully, they might have noticed that some of the stars seemed to be moving. Keanu's hotel room was on the 15th floor of a fancy casino resort. The elevator ride up felt strange with Danny sitting quietly beside him. The child seemed to know exactly where they were going, even though Keanu hadn't told him the room number. When they reached the room, Keanu used his key card to open the door. The lights came on automatically, and Danny walked inside like he had been there before. He went straight to the big window that looked out over the bright Las Vegas Strip. You can see the whole city from here, Danny said, pressing his small hands against the glass. It's much smaller than it will be. What do you mean, will be? Keanu asked, closing the door behind them. Danny didn't answer. Instead, he turned around and looked at the hotel room. You stayed in room 1247 last time you were here. It was 2 years ago. You ordered room service at 11:30 at night because you couldn't sleep. Keanu felt his blood turn cold. That was exactly right. He had stayed in that room, and he had ordered food late at night because he was worried about the next day's filming. But how could Danny know that? How do you know about that? I told you. I've been watching. Danny walked over to the television and stared at it. Suddenly, the screen turned on by itself. But instead of showing normal TV channels, strange symbols appeared on the screen. They looked like letters, but from no language Keanu had ever seen. Danny, did you turn that on? Here is so old, Danny said, ignoring the question. These machines are so simple compared to what we have. The symbols on the TV screen changed and moved around like they were alive. Keanu grabbed the remote control and tried to change the channel, but nothing happened. He tried turning the TV off, but it stayed on. Danny, make it stop. Danny waved his hand toward the TV, and it turned off immediately. The room became quiet again. Keanu sat down on the bed, feeling dizzy. You need to tell me what's going on. This isn't normal. Danny climbed up onto the chair by the window. He looked so small and young, but when he spoke, his words were clear and smart like an adult's. You want to understand, but your mind isn't ready for the truth yet, Danny said. It would hurt you to know everything at once. Try me. Danny was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he started to speak in a different language. It sounded beautiful but strange, with sounds that Keanu had never heard before. After a few sentences, Danny switched to what sounded like Chinese, then to Spanish, then to something else entirely. How many languages do you speak? Keanu asked. All of them, Danny said simply. Even the ones that don't exist yet. Keanu's phone buzzed on the nightstand. He picked it up and saw a text message from his agent about tomorrow's filming schedule. But when he looked at the screen again, the words had changed to those same strange symbols from the TV. Danny, what's happening to my phone? The machines around me sometimes get confused, Danny said. They try to understand what I am, but they can't, so they show what they think they see. Weir put his phone down carefully. Every electronic device in the room seemed to be acting weird now. The digital clock on the nightstand was showing numbers that didn't make sense. The air conditioning unit was making humming sounds that formed almost like music. You said you're human, Keanu said. But humans can't do these things. I am human, Danny said firmly. I'm just not from your time. What time are you from? Danny looked sad. A time that might never happen now. That's why I'm here.
Out.
Understand. Danny got down from the chair and walked over to Keanu. Can I show you something? Might scare you, but it won't hurt you. Keanu wasn't sure, but he nodded. Danny put his small hand on Keanu's forehead. Immediately, Keanu's mind filled with images again. This time, they were clearer and lasted longer. He saw himself as a child playing in his backyard. He saw his first day of acting school. He saw conversations he had with friends years ago, private moments that no one else knew about. Then he saw things that hadn't happened yet. He saw himself older with gray hair. He's talking to people he didn't recognize, about things he didn't understand. When Danny took his hand away, Keanu was breathing hard. Those were my memories, Keanu said. How do you have my memories? I don't. Have them, Danny said. I can just see them. Time isn't the same for me as it is for you. I can see backwards and forwards. That's impossible. Many things are possible that you don't know about yet. Keanu stood up and walked around the room, trying to think clearly. Everything Danny was showing him went against everything he thought. He knew about the world, but it was all really happening. He couldn't deny what he was seeing with his own eyes. Danny, why are you here? What do you want from me? I don't want anything from you, Danny said, but I need your help. There are others like me, other children who came back. We're all lost and confused. We were supposed to arrive later when we were older, but something went wrong. Came back from where? From the future? From a time when everything went bad? Danny walked to the window again and looked out at the city lights. In my time, most of these lights are gone. Most of the people are gone too. We came back to try to fix things, to change what happens. But we're just children now. We can't do it alone. What went wrong in the future? Danny turned around, and for the first time, he looked really scared. Bad things found us.
Ow.
Things that look like people but aren't people. They've been here for a long time waiting and watching. They made us destroy ourselves without us knowing they were doing it. A loud beeping sound came from somewhere in the walls. Then the fire alarm started going off. But there was no fire and no smoke. Danny looked worried. They know I'm here now, he said. The machines told them. Who knows? You're here? The people who watch for things like me. They have machines that can find us when we use our abilities too much. The beeping got louder.
Out.
We have to leave. They'll be here soon, and they won't understand. They'll take me away, and then I can't help stop what's coming. Keanu looked at this strange child who claimed to be from the future. Everything Danny had shown him seemed impossible, but it was all real. And now, someone was coming for him. Where can we go? Somewhere safe. Somewhere the machines can't find us. Danny's eyes looked older and more worried than any child's should. But first, you have to decide if you believe me. Because once you help me, there's no going back to your normal life. The alarms got louder. Footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. Keanu had to make a choice, and he had to make it now. The hotel room door burst open with a loud crash. 3 people in dark suits rushed inside, carrying strange devices that beeped and flashed with lights. Behind them came a woman with short brown hair and serious eyes. She wore a badge that said, Agent Kate Morrison. Step away from the child, Kate said firmly, pointing a small device at Danny. We're with the government. We're here to help. Keanu moved in front of Danny protectively. Who are you people? How did you get in here? Sir, please move aside, Kate said. This child is extremely dangerous. We've been tracking him for hours. Danny tugged on Keanu's shirt. Don't let them take me, he whispered. They don't understand what I am. Kate's device was making loud clicking sounds as she pointed it at Danny. The electromagnetic readings are off the charts, she told the other agents. This is definitely one of them. One of what? Keanu asked. We've had 17 similar cases in the past month, Kate explained, still keeping her device aimed at Danny. Children appearing in strange places, all with unusual abilities, all claiming to be human but showing impossible knowledge and powers. Of the other agents, a tall man with gray hair stepped forward. Sir, we need you to move away from the subject immediately, for your own safety. His name is Danny, Keanu said angrily. He's not a subject. He's a little boy. No, he's not, Kate said. Watch this. She pressed a button on her device, and it made a high-pitched sound. Suddenly, all the electronic equipment the agents carried started sparking and smoking. There. Radios died. Their phones went black. Even the lights in the hotel room began flickering on and off. Danny stepped out from behind Keanu. I told you to leave me alone, he said in a voice that sounded much older than a 3-year-old should have. The gray-haired agent reached for his gun, but before he could draw it, something strange happened. He stopped moving and stared blankly at the wall like he had forgotten what he was doing. What's wrong with him? Kate asked, backing away. He's fine, Danny said calmly. He just can't remember why he came here anymore. The other 2 agents looked confused too. They put down their broken equipment and stood there looking around the room, like they didn't know where they were. Kate was the only one who seemed to still remember what was happening. She looked at Danny with fear and amazement. How are you doing this? I don't want to hurt anyone, Danny said. But you came here to take me away. I can't let that happen. Kate lowered her device. What are you? I'm human, Danny said. For what felt like the 100th time. I'm from Earth, just like you. But I'm from a different time. That's impossible. Many things you think are impossible are actually real, Danny said. Your government knows this. They've been hiding the truth for many years. Kate stared at Danny, then at her confused agents, then back at Danny. Slowly, she put her device away completely. You're saying you're from the future? Yes. Prove it. Danny walked over to Kate. Agent Kate Morrison. You were born in Denver, Colorado. Your father was a police officer who died when you were 12. You joined the FBI because you wanted to find the truth about things the government hides from people. Kate's face went pale. How do you know that? 3 years from now, you'll discover that your father didn't die in a car accident like they told you. He was killed because he found out about the program you work for now. It's the program that watches for people like me. What program? Danny looked sad. Project Shepherd. Your government created it to watch for visitors from other worlds. But they didn't know the real visitors weren't coming from other planets. They were coming from other times. Kate sat down heavily in the chair by the window. This is crazy. Your boss, Director Phillips, has files about children like me. But most of those files are fake. The real files are hidden in a place called Site 7. You've never heard of Site 7, but it exists. Keanu watched this conversation, feeling completely lost. Kate, do you believe him? Kate looked at her 3 agents, who were still standing around looking confused. I don't know what to believe anymore, but something is definitely not normal here. Danny walked over to one of the broken devices on the floor. He picked it up and held it in his hands. The device started working again, its lights flashing normally. Technology is very simple compared to what exists in my time, Danny said. But it's also very fragile. When I'm around, machines sometimes try to understand me and they can't handle it. What year are you from? Kate asked. 2247. Keanu felt dizzy. That's over 200 years from now. In my time, there are only about 50,000 humans left on Earth, Danny continued. Everyone else is gone. Dead or taken. Taken by who? Kate asked. The ones who have been watching you for hundreds of years. They look just like humans, but they're not. They've been guiding your history, making sure you develop in the way they want. Kate stood up suddenly. But you said Project Shepherd? But that's the name of our program, yes, Danny said sadly. They chose that name on purpose. Like shepherds. Guide sheep. That's what they think you are. Who are they? The ones who have been pretending to be human for so long that even they sometimes forget what they really are. They've been living among you, having children with you, slowly changing your species from the inside. The room became very quiet. Keanu could hear his own heart beating. That's why we came back, Danny continued. The last real humans in my time sent us back to warn you, to help you fight before it's too late. How many of you came back? Kate asked. 50 children? We're supposed to arrive as adults, with all our knowledge intact. But something went wrong with the time travel. We arrived as children and were scattered all over the world. Where are the others? I don't know. I can sense some of them sometimes, but they're far away. We're trying to find each other, but it's hard when we look like regular children. Agents were starting to look more alert, like they were beginning to remember why they came. Danny noticed this too. They're fighting against what I did to their minds, he said. I can't hold it much longer. What happens when they remember? Keanu asked. They'll try to take me to their base. They'll run tests on me and try to figure out what I am. But they won't believe the truth even when I tell them. Kate looked at her agents, then at Danny, then at Keanu. But what if I believe you? What if I help you instead? Danny smiled for the first time since Keanu had found him. Then maybe we have a chance to save everyone. One of the agents shook his head like he was waking up from a dream. Agent Morrison, what are we doing here? Kate looked at Danny, then made her decision. False alarm team. Readings were from the hotel's old electrical system. We're heading back to base. The agents looked confused, but didn't argue. They gathered their equipment and left the room. When they were gone, Kate turned to Danny and Keanu. Kay, tell me everything. And tell me how we stop these shepherds. Donnie's face became very serious. First, you need to understand that some of the people you trust most might not be human at all. Kate sat on the edge of the hotel bed, holding a small tablet computer. Her hands were shaking as she typed in security codes that would give her access to the most secret files in the government. This is crazy, she said to herself. I could go to prison for this. You won't go to prison if there's no government left to put you there, Danae said quietly from his chair by the window. Keanu was pacing around the room, trying to understand everything Danny had told them. So you're saying that aliens have been living among us for hundreds of years, pretending to be human? They're not exactly aliens, Danny explained. They came from Earth originally, but that was millions of years ago. They left Earth when the dinosaurs were still alive. They've been traveling through space ever since, looking for planets to take over. Why did they come back to Earth? Kate asked, still typing on her tablet. Because Earth is special. Humans are special. We have something they need. Kate looked up from her screen. What do we have that they want? Danny was quiet for a moment, like he was deciding how much to tell them. In my time, we learned that human minds are different from every other species in the galaxy. We can adapt and change in ways that other beings can't. We can learn things that should be impossible to learn. I don't understand, Keanu said. Think about it, Danny continued. Humans can live in hot deserts and cold mountains. You can eat almost anything. You can learn any language. You can solve problems that even your own computers can't figure out. No other species in the galaxy can do all of these things. Kate's tablet made a beeping sound. I'm in, she said. I'm looking at Project Shepherd files now. Her face went pale as she read. Oh my God, what does it say? Keanu asked. There are files here going back to 1950. Reports about people who seemed too smart, too perfect. People who never got sick, who never seemed to age normally. People who always seemed to know the right thing to say to get what they wanted. Danny nodded sadly. Those were the shepherds. They've been placing themselves in important positions for decades. Government leaders, business owners, scientists, teachers, anyone who could influence how humans develop. Kate kept reading. Says here that in 1962, a scientist named Dr. Alan Cross discovered that some people had different brain patterns that didn't match normal humans. But his research was shut down and he disappeared. Dr. Cross was my great-grandfather, Danny said. In my time, his hidden research helped us understand what the shepherds really are. What are they? Keanu asked. They're parasites, Danny said, and his voice was full of anger. They can take over human bodies and live inside them. But they can't reproduce on their own anymore. They need human minds to survive. Kate dropped her tablet. It's horrible. It gets worse, Danny continued. They don't just take over one person and stay there. They can jump from body to body, taking the best parts of each human mind with them. Over hundreds of years, they've been collecting human knowledge and abilities. Keanu sat down hard in a chair. So some of the people we see every day might not really be people at all? Yes, and you would never know unless you knew what to look for. Kate picked up her tablet again and kept reading. This file mentions something called the collection phase. It's scheduled to begin in ... double quotes. She stopped reading and looked terrified when Danny asked, though he already seemed to know the answer. Next year, 2026. Danny nodded grimly. In my original timeline, that's when it started. The shepherds stopped hiding and began taking over humans by force. They had been preparing for over 70 years. They had people in every government, every military, every important organization in the world. What exactly happened? Keanu asked. Danny stood up and walked to the window. The lights of Las Vegas sparkled below them, but he looked like he was seeing something else entirely. It started with what looked like a new disease, Danny said. People began getting sick with something that doctors couldn't identify. But it wasn't really a disease. It was the shepherds trying to take over human bodies all at once. How many people did they take? Kate asked. Within 5 years, they had taken over most of the world's leaders, presidents, generals, scientists, anyone with power or knowledge. The humans who were left didn't even realize what was happening at first. Danny turned away from the window. By the time we figured it out, it was too late. The shepherds controlled all the weapons, all the technology, all the information. Started hunting down the humans who hadn't been taken yet. How did any humans survive? Keanu asked. Some of us hid in places the shepherds couldn't find. Underground cities, deep in the ocean, in space stations. We lived like rats, trying to stay alive while they hunted us. Kate was reading more files. There's something here about genetic testing. It says the shepherds have been studying human DNA for decades, trying to understand how our minds work. They want to copy us perfectly, Danny explained. They want to become us, but better, stronger, smarter, and immortal. When a shepherd takes over a human body, that body stops aging normally. They can live for hundreds of years in one body if they take care of it properly. Keanu felt sick. So they've been planning this for decades? Longer than that. The shepherds have been planning this for centuries. Every major war, every economic disaster, every technological setback that humans have faced in the last 200 years was planned by them. Kate looked up from her tablet with horror in her eyes. Why? To keep humans from developing too quickly, Danny said. They needed time to study you and place their people in the right positions. If humans had developed space travel too fast, or if you had discovered certain scientific truths too early, you might have been able to fight them. What scientific truths? Keanu asked. How to detect them? How to remove them from human bodies? How to build weapons that could actually hurt them? Danny walked over to Kate and looked at her tablet. Show me the list of current shepherd locations. Kate scrolled through the files. There are hundreds of names here. Politicians, business, leaders, scientists, military officers. She stopped scrolling. Oh no, what? My boss. Director Phillips, he's on the list. Danny nodded sadly. I was wondering when you would figure that out. Phillips has been a shepherd for 15 years. He's the one who has been making sure that Project Shepherd never finds anything. Real? Kate stood up quickly. He knows I'm here. He knows I access these files. They'll be coming for us, Danny said. But now you understand why I needed your help. The government agencies that are supposed to protect humans are run by the very beings who want to destroy them. Keanu looked back and forth between Kate and Danny. So what do we do now? Danny's young face looked older and more serious than any child's should. Now we run. And we try to find the other children before the shepherds find us. Because the collection phase isn't scheduled to start next year anymore. What do you mean? Asked. I mean that by coming back in time and revealing myself, I've changed things. The shepherds know we're here now. They're going to start the collection phase early. Danny walked to the window one more time and looked out at the city. We probably have weeks instead of years, maybe less. Kate's tablet started beeping with an incoming message. She looked at the screen and her face went white. What does it say? Keanu asked. It's from Director Phillips. All agents are ordered to return to base immediately. There's been a security breach. Danny turned around. They're coming for us right now. We'll have to leave this building immediately. Keanu grabbed his jacket. Where do we go? Somewhere they won't think to look, Danny said. Somewhere we can contact the other children and start fighting back. They headed for the door. Kate asked the question that was frightening all of them. Danny, in your timeline, how long did it take for the shepherds to take over most of humanity? Danny paused at the door. 18 months, but this time might be different, better or worse. Donnie looked at them with eyes that had seen the end. Of the world, I don't know yet. We're about to find out. They ran down the hotel's back stairs as fast as they could. Danny's small legs moved quickly, but Keanu could see the child was getting tired. Behind them, they could hear voices and footsteps in the hallways. This way, Kate whispered, leading them toward a service exit she had noticed earlier. My car's in the parking garage. As they reached the bottom floor, Danny suddenly stopped running. Wait, he said quietly. What's wrong? Keanu asked. Danny tilted his head like he was listening to something only he could hear. There are 3 of them waiting by your car, Kate. They've been there for 10 minutes. 3 of who? Shepherds, not the agents from before. Real shepherds. Kate looked confused. How can you tell the difference? Real shepherds feel different in my mind. They're colder, emptier, like looking into a dark hole where a person should be. They pressed themselves against the wall near the exit door. Through the small window, they could see Kate's black sedan in the parking garage. 3 people in business suits stood near it, but they were standing too still, too perfectly. They look normal to me, Keanu said. That's the point, Danny replied. They've had hundreds of years to learn how to copy human behavior, but they can't copy everything. They don't breathe as much as real humans. They don't shift their weight or fidget. They're too perfect. Kate studied the 3 figures through the window. Now that you mention it, they are standing really still. They know we're here, Danny said. They can sense me the same way I can sense them, but they're not sure exactly where we are yet. So, what do we do? Keanu asked. Danny was quiet for a moment, thinking, I need to show you both something, but it might scare you. We're already scared, Kate said. Danny nodded. Okay, but remember, I'm still me. I'm still the same person. Danny closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Suddenly, the air around him seemed to shimmer, like heat waves. His young face became serious and focused in a way that looked almost adult. I wasn't just sent back to warn you, Danny said, and his voice sounded different, older, more dangerous. I was sent back to fight. Fight how? Keanu asked. Danny opened his eyes, and for a moment they glowed with a soft blue light. In my time, the last humans learned how to build weapons that could hurt shepherds. But the weapons aren't machines or guns. They're inside us. Inside us. Human minds have power that even we don't understand yet. In my time, when we were desperate and dying, some humans learned to use that power. We learned to push the shepherds out of human bodies. We learned to see through their disguises. We learned to fight back. Danny looked at his small hands. Children they sent back aren't just messengers. We're weapons. Living weapons designed to hunt shepherds. Kate backed away from Danny a little. You're saying you can kill them? Can force them out of human bodies they've taken over. If they don't have a body to hide in, they die very quickly. Have you done this before? Keanu asked. Danny looked sad. Yes, 3 times since I arrived. There was a shepherd in Los Angeles pretending to be a police captain, another one in Phoenix pretending to be a school principal, and one here in Las Vegas. Here? Who? The man who owns this hotel. His name is Robert Kane. He's been a shepherd for 23 years. Kate's eyes went wide. Robert Kane is one of the most powerful people in Nevada. He owns half the casinos in Las Vegas. That's why the shepherd chose his body, Danny explained. Kane controls a lot of money and influences a lot of people. The perfect position for manipulating humans. What happened to the real Robert Kane? Dead. The shepherd killed him when it took over his body. That's what they always do. Keanu felt sick again. How many people have they killed? Thousands. Maybe hundreds of thousands over the years. Every time they take over someone important, they kill the real person inside. Through the window, they could see that more people were arriving in the parking garage. Men and women in suits, all standing too perfectly, all moving in the same. Strange way, there are 8 of them now, Danny said. They're calling for help. Can you fight 8 of them? Kate asked. Danny shook his head. Not all at once. Not without putting you both in danger. When I use my abilities, it's like setting off a bomb in their minds. Anyone standing too close gets hurt, so what's the plan? Danny looked around. The service area they were hiding in. We need to get out of the city. Somewhere with fewer people where I can use my full power without hurting innocents. My cabin, Kate said suddenly. I have a cabin about 2 hours north of here, up in the mountains. It's isolated. No neighbors for miles. That could work, Danny said. But we need transportation. Keanu smiled. I know where my motorcycle is. Parked. And I know a way to get to it without going through the main garage. They made their way through the hotel's service corridors, past kitchens and storage rooms. Danny led the way, somehow knowing exactly which turns to take to avoid the shepherds who were searching the building. How do you know where they are? Kate whispered. I can feel them, Danny whispered back, like cold spots in a warm room. When they reached the side exit where Keanu had parked his motorcycle, Danny held up his hand for them to stop. There's one outside, he said. Just one. I can handle this. Are you sure? Yes. But when I do this, every shepherd in the city will know exactly where we are. We'll have maybe 5 minutes to get away before they surround us. Danny opened the door slowly. Outside, a woman in a gray suit stood next to Keanu's motorcycle. Looked like a normal business person, but she wasn't moving at all. Not even breathing. Danny walked up to her calmly. Hello, he said in his normal child's voice. The woman turned to look at him. When she did, her eyes were completely black. No white, no color. Just black. Child of the future, the woman said in a voice that sounded like two people talking at the same time. You should not have come. Neither should you, Danny replied. Danny reached up and touched the woman's hand. Immediately, she started screaming, but it wasn't a human scream. It was a high-pitched sound, like metal scraping against metal. The woman's body began to shake violently. Black smoke poured out of her mouth and nose. After a few seconds, the smoke disappeared and the woman collapsed to the ground. Kate ran over to check on her. Is she alive? As Danny said, looking tired. The real person is still alive inside, but she'll need medical help. The shepherds damage the bodies they take over. Keanu started his motorcycle. We need to go now. Ah! As Kate climbed onto the bike behind Keanu and Danny got on in front, they could hear shouting from inside the hotel. Car engines started in the parking garage. Does they know where we are? Danny said. How long do we have? Keanu asked as he drove toward the street. Danny looked back at the hotel. More black cars were pulling out of the garage, following them. Long enough, he said, as they raced through the streets of Las Vegas. Danny explained what he had learned about the shepherds since arriving in this time. They're more organized than they were in my original timeline, he said. Someone warned them that we were coming. Someone who knew about the time travel project. Oh, Kate shouted over the wind. Another child. One of the 50 who came back with me. But this one is working for the shepherds. That's impossible, Kate said. Why would a human child help them? Danny's voice was barely audible over the motorcycle engine. Because maybe that child isn't really human anymore. Behind them, the black cars were getting closer. And in the distance, they could see helicopters rising into the night sky, searching for them with bright spotlights. The hunt had truly begun. The mountain road was dark and winding. Keanu's motorcycle headlight cut through the night as they climbed higher into the hills above Las Vegas. Behind them, the city lights grew smaller, but the helicopters were still following. There, Kate shouted, pointing to a small dirt road ahead. Turn there. Keanu turned off the main highway and rode down the bumpy dirt path. The trees were thick here, hiding them from the helicopters above. After 10 minutes of riding through the forest, they reached a small wooden cabin. We should be safe here for a while, Kate said as they got off the motorcycle. Danny looked around at the dark trees. No, we're not safe. They're coming faster than I expected. How much time do we have? Keanu asked. Maybe an hour, maybe less. Kate unlocked the cabin door and turned on the lights. The inside was simple but comfortable, with a fireplace, a small kitchen, and a radio on the table. Danny went straight to the radio and turned it on. Instead of music or news, strange sounds came out of the speakers. Beeping and clicking noises that sounded almost like a language. What is that? Kate asked. The other children, Danny said, adjusting the radio dials. We use frequencies that normal humans can't hear. It's how we talk to each other across long distances. The sounds from the radio became clearer. Now they could hear what sounded like voices, but speaking very fast and in a language they didn't understand. There are 3 children talking right now, Danny said, listening carefully. Lisa is in New York. Tommy is in Seattle. And ... Danny's face went pale. And Marcus is in Los Angeles. What's wrong? Keanu asked. Marcus is the one who betrayed us. He's telling the shepherds where we are. Danny spoke into the radio in the same strange language. A voice answered him immediately, sounding worried and scared. That was Lisa, Danny explained. She says the shepherds have found most of the other children. They're taking them to secret facilities all over the country. Taking them where? Kate asked. Places where they can study us, try to understand how our abilities work, and places where they can ... Danny stopped talking. Where they can what? Turn us into shepherds. The room became very quiet. Outside, they could hear the distant sound of helicopter rotors getting closer. Is that possible? Keanu asked. We don't know. In my time, it never happened because we were adults when we fought them. But as children, our minds are still growing and changing. The shepherds think they might be able to take us over the same way they take over normal humans. Kate sat down at the table, looking overwhelmed. So if they catch you, they could turn you into one of them. Yes, and if they do, they'll have access to all the knowledge I brought back from the future. They'll know about every weapon we developed, every hiding place we used, every strategy we had for fighting them. Danny walked to the window and looked out at the dark forest. But that's not the worst part. What's the worst part? Keanu asked. Though he wasn't sure he wanted to know, if they turn me into a shepherd, I'll be able to sense all the other children. I'll be able to hunt them down and help capture them. Then weeks they could have all 50 of us. The radio crackled again. This time, the voice sounded different. Colder. Yes. Danny said. He's telling them we're here. Keanu looked out the window. Through the trees, he could see lights moving toward the cabin, flashlights and car headlights coming from several directions. They found us, Kate said. Danny turned away from the radio. It's time for you both to make a choice. What kind of choice? I can fight them, all of them. But if I use my full power, it will be like a signal that every human on Earth can sense. Everyone will know that something impossible just happened. The secret will be out. Kate stood up. What do you mean? I mean that when humans find out the truth about the shepherds, everything changes. Your governments will fall apart when people learn that their leaders aren't human. Your economy will crash when people find out that the biggest companies are run by aliens. Your religions will be shaken when people realize that many of your holy leaders have been replaced by creatures from space. Danny looked at both of them. Seriously, some humans will fight, some will hide. And some will choose to help the shepherds because they're too scared to fight. The lights outside were getting closer. They could hear voices now, calling to each other through the trees. But if I don't fight, Danny continued, they'll capture me. They'll turn me into one of them. Then humanity will lose its only real chance to win this war? Keanu walked over to Danny. What do you need us to do? I need you to help me contact every human on Earth at the same time. Your television networks, your internet, your radio stations, everything. How can we do that? Kate asked. Kate, you have access to government communication systems. And Keanu, you know people in the entertainment industry who can reach millions of people. Danny pointed to the radio. I can boost any signal to reach the whole planet. But I need you to help me get access to the systems first. The voices outside were getting louder. Flashlight beams were starting to shine through the windows. If we do this, there's no going back, Kate said. The world will never be the same. The world is going to change anyway, Danny replied. The only question is whether humans get to choose their future or have it chosen for them. Keanu made his decision first. I'm in. What do you need me to do? Kate looked out the window at the approaching light, then at Danny's young face with its ancient eyes. If we're going to do this, we need to do it now. Danny smiled. It was the first real smile Keanu had seen from him. "Thank you, both of you." Danny walked to the center of the room and closed his eyes. The air around him began to shimmer again, like it had at the hotel. "Kate, use your government access codes to connect to the emergency broadcast system. Keanu, call everyone you know in Hollywood. Tell them to turn on their cameras and start broadcasting." "What are you going to tell the world?" Keanu asked as he pulled out his phone. "The truth. All of it. Who the shepherds are, how long they've been here, what they're planning to do, and how humans can fight back." Kate was already typing on her tablet, accessing government systems. "This is going to cause panic." "Good," Danny said. "Panic means people are awake. Panic means they're ready to fight." Ow. The cabin door burst open. Men in black suits rushed inside, but they stopped when they saw Danny glowing with blue light in the center of the room. "Too late," Danny said to them. "It's already started." Every electronic device in the world suddenly came alive. Television. Screens turned on by themselves. Radio stations switched to emergency broadcasts. Cell phones started ringing with recorded messages. Computer screens displayed the same message in every language on Earth, and Danny's voice, somehow sounding like both a child and an adult at the same time, began to speak to every human being on the planet. "People of Earth," he said. "My name is Danny. I am 7 years old, and I am from your future. I have something very important to tell you about the beings who have been living among you for hundreds of years." As Danny spoke, the shepherds in the cabin began to scream. Not human screams, but the same metal scraping sound they had heard in Las Vegas, one by one. Black smoke poured out of them and disappeared. Outside, the same thing was happening all over the world. In government buildings and corporate offices, in military bases, in research facilities, the shepherds were being forced out of the human bodies they had stolen. Keanu watched the television screen as Danny's message reached every corner of the Earth. People were gathering in the streets, looking up at the sky, talking to each other about what they had just learned. Some looked scared, some looked angry, but most looked determined. "What happens now?" Kate asked. Danny, still glowing with blue light, looked older than his 7 years. "Now humanity gets to choose its own future. For the first time in centuries, you're free to make your own decisions about where your species goes from here." Through the cabin windows, they could see the real humans who had been controlled by shepherds stumbling through the forest, confused but alive. The shepherds themselves were gone, returned to whatever dark place they had come from. "Will they come back?" Keanu asked. "Probably," Danny said. "The next time humanity will be ready for them." As the sun began to rise over the mountains, Danny's glow faded, and he looked like a normal child again. But the world below them would never be normal again. Humanity had learned the truth. Now they had to decide what to do with it.